This year, there are more than 400 anti-LGBTQ plus bills in various stages of consideration in legislatures across the country. In Florida, 3 of them could soon be headed to the governor's desk amid a flurry of debate that one representative labeled a Thunderdome of hate. What's happening in Florida is shocking. Gender-affirming care being labeled cosmetic surgery, transgender people being called mutants and compared to X-Men, and one Republican is calling on the state to only recognize 2 genders, male and female. Joining us now is Advocate.com writer Jacob Ogles. Jacob, thank you for joining me today. Please help us break down what is going on in Florida. Would you first talk about the 3 bills that are up for votes?
Well, we have votes that are coming in front of the House of Representatives that could outlaw gender-affirming care for minors and also affect insurance for adults seeking the care. We have bills that are going to bar children's attendance from drag shows and other live adult entertainment as deemed by a very nebulous set of rules of the state. And we have bills that are coming in to regulate where transgender people pee because it's 2022 and we still need to have a debate about that.
Yeah, I mean, we went through that once before, pretty big time, about a decade ago. Would you share a little bit about this title, The Thunderdome of Hate? Who is behind that, and what are they talking about when they say that?
Well, that was a phrase that was used yesterday on the floor by Michelle Rayner Goolsbee, who is a out representative in the St. Petersburg area. She was the first Black lesbian elected to the Florida legislature, and of course has taken much of this slew of anti-LGBTQ legislation rather personally. She kind of coined that term as people were talking about Florida as this Thunderdome of freedom, and that's just not the way a lot of people see it right now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then there was this wild kind of comparison to X-Men, which is, of course, shows a lack of critical thinking on the part of the person who said it, because creator Stan Lee really envisioned X-Men as kind of these different kinds of folks who were very powerful. So this person missed the point. Would you go into that for us about the X-Men?
I certainly would agree with your points there. Webster Barnaby at a committee last week actually discussed transgender people as mutants walking the earth with this really negative connotation. He also called them imps and demons, but he actually specifically referenced the mutants from X-Men comics. People actually hacked his website, his Twitter feed, and put the X-Men on his header for a short period of time. But Democrats in Florida kind of turned that on its head yesterday. They offered an amendment up that was actually to the live adult entertainment bill that would have exempted people who are dressed in X-Men costumes for any type of drag shows, and said that was more representative of the civil rights message behind the X-Men that were created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you for that. And then, Governor Ron DeSantis is no friend to LGBTQ plus people. He's made that abundantly clear. These anti-LGBTQ plus bills appear to have a clear path to his desk. Is there anything that could hold them up?
Well, the bills all have a different path. The live adult entertainment bill is now cleared both of the chambers of the legislature as we speak here today, and the bathroom bill just moved off of the House floor. That said, the bathroom bill may get tied up in the Senate, where it's waiting to get a second committee hearing, and it hasn't been moving with the same swiftness there. It's possible the upper chamber of the legislature in Florida will stop that, but it is still a Republican-controlled legislature, so we will see. If there's something that could tie up the gender-affirming care bill, it's that while both of the chambers appear poised to pass a version of the bill, they are not identical. The House bill goes a lot further and would stop any sort of healthcare benefits for minors that are already undergoing a transition, that are already receiving gender affirming care. The Senate says that those minors who have already started down that path, who are already receiving treatment, would be exempt and would only stop new treatment moving forward for minors. So it's possible that that disagreement will tangle up this legislation and prevent it from ever reaching DeSantis' desk.
Well, thank you for that great breakdown of these bills. I just wanted to touch on recently, Equality Florida issued a travel advisory for LGBTQ plus people to the state, calling it unsafe for queer people. And I wonder, can you just speak to a general sense of how the LGBTQ plus community is feeling there in the wake of all of this hate?
Well, I'm speaking to you from Orlando, which is unfortunately not very far from a space I spent a lot of time several years ago, and that was the site of the Pulse shooting. There's a lot of people who are stunned at how quickly we've come to this place. You know, Governor DeSantis at the third anniversary of the Pulse shooting had actually come to the site and promised he wouldn't be an enemy to queer folk in the state of Florida. That has obviously changed as he's become a presidential contender, and he's looking to out-Trump Trump right now in terms of winning the Republican nomination. I know a lot of LGBTQ people in the state of Florida are leaving right now. They're getting upset, particularly those with families who are upset about raising their children in an environment that doesn't recognize LGBTQ people as valid and that doesn't seem to want them to exist. So I see a lot of tremendous emotion right now, people fighting battles that they thought were won years ago. But right now, the ambitions of Ron DeSantis are coming first with this legislature, and that's why we're seeing a lot of this moving forward.
Great. Well, I'm sorry to end on a sad note, but it is the truth there in Florida. And thank you, Jacob Ogles, writer for advocate.com. I appreciate your time here today.
Thank you very much for having me.